How's it going, ladies and Bruce? I'm Poppy Sixkilla and welcome back to the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Wait, no. Let's try that again. How's it going, ladies and Bruces? I'm Jim and welcome to Stanley Parable 2. I think we're still in Stanley Parable 2 at the moment.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Yeah, we're definitely still in Stanley Parable 2.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
We're continuing with the sequel, obviously, because Bucket's still here. I gotta be careful not to fall in love with the bucket again.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever.
Need you now more than ever
Perhaps
before.
his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Bucket, this is where you belong.
Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket.
This is where buckets go.
I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say.
Not wrong.
It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies.
It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies.
Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket.
What?
I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons. But even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
You can have the bucket, I don't need it. I can't give him the bucket.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled.
Thanks.
No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Well then, goodbye, Mr. Broom Closet.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see? I feel that it works because the sticker is also... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Let's do this one now, with the bucket. This will be interesting with the bucket.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing.
Come on, bucket, give me some reassurance.
That's strange,
That's
Stanley
what you're
thought.
for.
Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were
Buckets.
his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
I got a bucket in me. Ow.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem
Didn't have his
was.
bucket.
This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him.
Tragic.
Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Hell yes, my life kicks ass. Thanks, bucket.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
There's my bucket.
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Come on, bucket. Let's do the good ending, I suppose.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to
No,
his
let's
chest
not.
and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the
I have
meeting
a better
room,
idea.
but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
Moving on.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Yeah, good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't
Every
talk.
ending's been
But
replaced with a
Stanley
bucket
chose
ending.
not to think about this obvious fact.
Insane.
He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Come on, bucket. Let's do these ones.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and
Am I going to
properly.
get a bucket tutorial?
So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Alright. Teach me what a bucket is. Please.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket.
Okay.
Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
Alright, I'm ready.
Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Shit. Alright, next.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Surely that makes it a bucket if it's 3D printed. I mean, it's a physical object. That makes it a bucket, right?
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
Oh, good. At least we got one right.
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket.
Oh, good.
To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot.
You're welcome.
Okay, next one.
Is the next one going to be a bucket again? That's a tractor again.
Is this a bucket?
It's still the tractor.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
What? Aww.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
What does that mean?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
I hate to think what the next one's going to be.
Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket.
The bucket has nothing in it.
When I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
No.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is?
Am I a bucket?
Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game.
My bucket.
Okay, here we go.
My bucket.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait,
Everything was a bucket.
Everything a bucket?
I was right.
Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets.
Bucket's such a weird
Yes,
word.
I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that.
Okay.
Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
I turn you into me. Well, bucket. They said bucket so much that the word's gone all weird on me now. Are we still in the sequel? We are still in Stanley Parable
Stanley
2.
decided to go to the meeting room to check on his
No bucket,
co-workers.
though.
He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to
The
him.
bucket's back.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
I thought we were getting rid of the bucket. Are we keeping the bucket?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
I can't believe they rewrote
And here
every
it
single
was.
ending
Had the
to add
turned
bucket
out
to
be
it.
correct? No, never mind.
It's insane.
The bucket was wrong.
I wonder it took so long.
Stanley
Jesus.
took the door on his left
to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Bye-bye. I'm taking the bucket with me.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Broom closet, I hate you. Hey,
You
line.
see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much.
Bad baby.
It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure
I love
Line
you,
and the
Adventure
Broom
Line.
Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen
I love
before.
the bucket.
Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Hey, broom closet. Alright, come on then, Adventure Line. You, me, and Bucket can handle this.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Yeah, that's it. Ba, 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 da, ba.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something
The
up.
bucket. No. Not my bucket.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable.
like it.
True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you
It's
agree?
very angry looking. That's for sure.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for
I
you.
think calling it the Bucket Destroyer spells
Go
it out
ahead
for
now,
me.
Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality
He
trait.
said it was well fleshed
So
out.
I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Did he just shoot me? It feels like the Bucket Destroyer shot me. Bad Bucket Destroyer. Douchebag.
The Bucket Destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Oh man, he's just a Bucket Destroyer machine. He could destroy all kinds of stuff in it too. Right, let's get back to it, shall we? More bucket adventures.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Huh? Where the what?
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket.
off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Alright, let's do it. Let's do that all the way to the end this time. See what the bucket has to say about that, huh?
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where, coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Alright, go to the toilet bucket.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done.
Oh, I love no
You
reward.
can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Oh, I shall. To be rich, is it a crime? To commit crimes, isn't it rich? What a life it would be to have to pick just one. Hey. Ooh. What's in here? Where does this go? Up. Come on, bucket, let's roll. Did that just say Stanley? Yes, God? Oh, wait. Doesn't go anywhere, does it? I remember this elevator now. It just goes forever, but never actually goes anywhere.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket.
Thanks, bucket.
Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Yeah, for sure, that's the most logical explanation, yeah.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands?
I like it.
Stanley figs. What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
That's like a toilet. Like a urinal. I don't like it. Alright, bucket. What are we gonna do now? Some meanings we can't get to with the bucket, but many that we can.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting
Not
him,
wrong.
reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Come on, bucket.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Hey, bucket.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Okie dokie. Alright. Into that museum area, right? Let's go, bucket.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere.
Don't listen to him, Bucket.
Farewell, Stanley.
Don't listen to the nasty man, Mr. Bucket.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
I feel like it's a different voice to last time.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
The bucket. Welcome to the grand exhibit. The bucket exhibit. Cool. It's all dedicated to the bucket now.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
A photograph of 25 buckets. I'm pretty sure that's more than 25. The greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. A bucket with 2 handles. This bucket is depicted as having 2 handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death for just attempting it. That's crazy. Ooh, the Inferno bucket. A replica of the Inferno bucket, which in medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control over it. Billions died, and yet, in spite of it all, the simple fact remains: no one can control a bucket. The stress bucket, an analogy. Presented without commentary. Well, all this bucket talk is lovely, but... Cave drawing. While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket has already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures. Thanks, bucket.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance, inevitably, is for our own good.
But there is something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong.
Aw, man.
Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision for...
I think I died. Am I playing as the bucket now? Or am I still Stanley?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him.
I need to check the meeting room.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
No, I was wrong. The meeting room.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
The bucket was
Stanley
wrong.
took the door on his left to go, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
How can we find them? Bottom text. There will be a reward for finding them all. Places to search. A large room, lots of boxes. Stairs. Something to do with stairs. Somewhere both red and blue. Red and blue doors, but I can't take the bucket there. Just gotta catch them all. Trust the completionist instinct. Red room. Figlies. Oh, they're called Figlies now. Maybe we are the collectibles. Alright. I know what I need to do. Red room, room with lots of boxes. Stairs. Well, we know where stairs are. Hey, broom closet.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Not under there. Well. You know, I don't know. We haven't done the proper ending still. Proper. Oh man, I forgot the number again.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Oh man.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Absolutely. Let's go, bucket. My trusty bucket. This is full on a riff on the companion cube thing, right? It's gotta be. Placing emotional weight on an inanimate object, etc., etc.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
I'm in. Oh, there's still a lot to do. Come on, bucket.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Can we do the party thing ending still? Bucket? Does the bucket have lines for that? I hope so.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears.
Oh, it's okay,
as Stanley
bucket.
cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
It's okay, bucket. It's okay.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Should we get the secret ending? There? Wait for this one to open again? Will the bucket have dialogue for it? That's the question. Will we have new bucket flavoured dialogue? That's all I'm here for. The new bucket flavoured dialogue. That's what I'm all about. Who's employee number 1? That's gotta be a pretty fancy job, right? That's like the CEO or some shit. Oh, there's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Oh, one's up there. Oh, here we go. Wait, we shouldn't be able to walk all the way back, right? Huh. It seems different. Yay, we did it. Never give up on your dreams. There's no turning back. You never go secret. Go Secret Rangers. Secrets Room 2014. Wow, we didn't get any new bucket dialogue. That's a shame.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
I don't think you're allowed to move on after that, at least in the original. You had to reset.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the
Nice.
bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
You got this, bucket.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over?
We did it, bucket. We did it.
Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive
Come on,
door.
bucket. Let's go home.
The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and to...
Uh-oh.
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped?
Bucket, what did you do?
Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Oh. How am I about to find out? Alright, well, we need to wrap this one up here because we're out of time for today, but it looks like Bucket Adventures will continue in the next episode. Until then, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.